I'm Alex Lira. Of course, I'm going to talk about food for the next 400 terrifying seconds. But at first, I want us to keep the word juxtaposition in the back of our heads. Kind of a balance of unlikely places. Balance in unlikely places. Used often in well-executed cooking, but also a metaphor for life, assuming you're doing it right. I'm way behind. Started as early as high school at parties. I was cooking omelets for drunken stone buddies, jocks, preppies, all that stuff. Contrasting people together, unified under food. They'd bring a carton of eggs sometimes, you know, that got to be my thing. I spent the next 20 years working for a bag of mixed restaurants from Carytown Burgers and Fries in Richmond, Virginia, to Tom Colicchio's Craft in, there it is, Craft in New York City. I even spent some time at Arzak in San Sebastian, longest consistently awarded Michelin-starred restaurant in the world. Thank you, Max, for that opportunity. Being thrown into these vastly different scenarios, from flipping burgers at a fast food joint to line cooking in extreme fine dining environments, afforded me the opportunity to observe this juxtaposition and apply it in a new concept. Mike Ray, Ben Johnson, and I opened Bar Normandy in 2017. I sound like I'm just reading. I need to loosen up a little. Jesus Christ. Day-to-day operations at Bar Normandy is myself, a couple of dudes named Phil, and plenty of other part-time help along the way to break through the monotony of the jobs they wanted. Terry Henning in there. We love her. The premise was for us to treat the space like our living room, have as much fun as possible, hosting friends, new and old. We loved our neighbors at Bar Normandy, and they loved getting treated a little rougher than they were used to. My favorite example of this was Phil Cohen tasting a woman on Muscadet one time, one of the driest of the white wines, and she said that her wine wasn't dry enough. Phil said to her, "Ma'am, your mouth is dumb." Here comes the 30 seconds I was going to fill with talking about Peroning. I'm still going to Perone again because for my nerves, but let's just talk about this juxtaposition here. Like, this is two different scenes. This asshole on the bottom is me on both scenes. And then we have, this is Joe Lobert and his son on Broad Street, amazing regular at the restaurant. And this is a guy just working on the street, and I convinced him. All right, that's Surfer Phil there. That's Mike Ray. He was the owner of Normandy Farms Baker. One day, this is like why traditional restaurants suck. Like, Phil fucking worked hard one day. Mike noticed it and made him the Tough Guy Award for Folly Phil. Folly fucking Phil worked hard that day. He got that award. This is our answer was historically considered normal restaurant behavior. Make it fun. We got fame from Bon Appetit, James Beard, and even won a tomato can from Eater. Thanks, Aaron. Obviously, it wasn't the 3-item menu that got us those awards and accolades. It was our give zero shits and make things tasty mentality. Oh my God. A small space, strangers and friends alike sitting shoulder to shoulder, 3-item menu, tight wine list, music helped too. Shout out to Femi and Mike Quinn who contributed tons to the library. We're just a canvas for our love of bringing people together and having a good time. I said together. These were the ingredients that made Bar Normandy not just a place to eat, it was experiential. Shift gears here, George Backless, my uncle, slinging hot dogs in Norfolk in the 70s, just a super casual guy, dollar hot dogs, a recipe for exactly the diversity and clientele I just described. George was known for his pranks. He and my papu, or grandfather as you may know it, were once getting drunk as they tended to do. On this particular night, papu passed out in a front couch. George found him and immediately called the funeral home. That was the thing you did in those days when someone died. George knew he was just passed out. Papu jolted upright as he was rolled out of the house on a gurney, equally startled the morgue workers as my grandfather woke from the dead. My Uncle George is the namesake and inspiration for what became my next project. At Bar George, we create a menu just as diverse and nutty as the neighborhood in which we operate. The culture on James Island, specifically Riverland Terrace, is not dissimilar to that of George or his hot dog crowd. Same page. Chili dogs paired with oysters, cats juicing fresh ginger from the Asian market behind the bar while another bartender serves up a Boilermaker. This is the juxtaposition I'm talking about. For those of you who are not familiar of the Boilermaker at Bar George, it's a pony high life and a shot of banana Jameson. To look for juxtaposition at Bar George, start with the owners. Pretty sure I could have used mug shots for all my partners, but we'll spare them that. First, a polished and pretty scientist with a palate that shines through every libation he throws into the glass. That's Joey. He and his father, a sweet, soft-spoken vegan carpenter, help us build it. That's he and his father. Joey handles day-to-day operations, keeping the place running, and also launching his, I'm way behind, cocktail bar Last Saint on Meeting Street. Hank Weed, you all know this guy. He's got Chico Feo on Folly Beach. Met him through the Nose Riders, which is the most mature, immature group of dickheads in the world. They're amazing. You can catch us looking for a wave on Folly Beach, but seldom comes. Next up, partner John Griffith. He's been eating my food since I moved to town in like 2013. He's got a hardwood flooring company. He built Bar George. His family's taken me in. My surname in his household is called Auntie Alex, which I embrace. 40th birthday for me in Yemisi at his house included a piñata that we shot with a shotgun. Together we opened Bar George in 2020, 3 weeks into a global pandemic. We started slinging bivalves, and definitely not alcohol, out of the back of a 78 Ranchero. We did it to stay relevant. This turned into a legit hustle. We shucked oysters for Danny McBride, Gail Simmons, Busy Phillips, Eric Andre, and 1,000 other noteworthy cats. Thank you, Dylan, for backing me up on that whole thing. This is my yaya, it's my grandmother. If we want to take all these socioeconomic examples and put them on a plate with Mason Morton, our chef at Bar George's Focaccia, we'd end up with tatama salata. It's a snack my yaya used to make. Tatama is carp roe as opposed to sturgeon. We call it poor man's caviar. This year I'm working on jarring and marketing this Greek staple. It's approachable, affordable, and if you see it in the store, buy it. Lots of it. This is a peek at the label designed by my brother. A satyr is kind of a grimy, broke-ass party animal found in Greek mythology. Here, a pair of them opening a can of carp roe with a trident I imagine they stole from Poseidon as a drunken prank. This idea is to have gold. I'm done now. Do you guys remember the Pulp Fiction scene that was just up there? There's a Pulp Fiction scene. He opens the fucking case. There's gold shining out of it. I'm trying to figure out how to get that gold vibe coming out of the tin of caviar because that's what poor man's caviar, approachable by all. Man, let's stop being classist assholes. Love you. Thanks.